recording.
And we're live.
Hi guys. Is that what bitches do? All right. So yay!
We're here.
Finally,
I
after
made
months.
it in.
After months.
I'm
So
done throwing up now. I'll be okay now. You didn't see the video I made on the way here. I was nervous. I still am a little bit. I have butterflies.
are you? Crap.
Yeah.
Why? This is us.
It is.
This is
But
us.
so you remember when you were talking about vulnerability when we first met? You were talking about vulnerability and how you weren't
I hate that
vulnerable.
fucking word.
Yeah, but it's worked for you. And I think that the encouragement that I gave you to be vulnerable in order to discover more about yourself, I heard myself say that, but I haven't acted on it as much as I've watched you act on it.
Oh.
So today, as I'm driving up here, I'm like, oh shit, the V
Vulnerable.
word. I'm a V. So
Vagina vulnerability.
It was like, I'm not quite sure what this is. So last night, I'm out on this little pseudo date or whatever the fuck I was on. We'll talk about that later.
So hold on, we haven't even introduced ourselves.
I'm me, she's her. We're us. All about us. Okay, if you want to introduce yourself.
So the dynamic duo that you see in front of you is Brittany, aka Flo, and Steven, aka Stove. And
whisper if you're nasty.
Whisper if you're nasty. And
my mother's gonna hate that.
that's okay. You know. This is you, okay?
It is.
What the fuck? Why did they stop recording? Excuse the technical difficulties that we're going to encounter because this is our first video and this is how shit goes.
Girl.
This how shit go, y'all. But we ain't gonna even edit this out because it is what it is. I hope I got enough juice because I never do. Okay. So, hey everybody, y'all missed the first half of the show, but we'll catch you on this one. So anyways, we are Brittany and Steven. We are social workers here in Texas. We literally do some boss ass shit like at our jobs and outside of our jobs. So what we'll do, this is my husband and me. So Steven is my husband. And it is a term that I coined specifically for him because he is my gay husband. And we'll get in more into that and what that means later. But this is my husband. We do husband and wife shit together, like go take walks at the park, we go on dates, we travel, we boss each other the fuck up. And he has been instrumental in my life in so many ways. So our hope is that we share that with you, share that journey with you, and then what it's like to be a heterosexual black woman and a homosexual black man in America and all of the things that we encounter in life, dating, relationships, all that jazz. So, hence, my husband and me. So, thank y'all for tuning in because it's going to be some good shit popping. So, go ahead, Stokely.
My role is just to sit here.
No, it's not.
This actually totally speaks to the relationship dynamic.
Absolutely.
Women.
Here you go. Not just
No,
what you got to say?
So I'm not sure who the husband is. Traditionally, men take the lead, right? And if you are a man who dates a man, that complicates shit because who gets the lead? So this has been a wonderful little 2.5 years of knowing Brittany because I now can date better than I could have dated before. Because I've had to acquiesce leadership to her.
And I've had to yield too. I've had to learn to put a skirt on. That was one of the first things he told me when we met. Let me just tell y'all about how we met. Let's just go into it, okay? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Notes. I've learned how to be the bitch.
So we were, okay, I'm at my job, right? Chilling, sitting in a staff meeting. And they're asking questions about gay sex. It was a presentation on gay sex, and so we were
a poor presentation.
It was a trash ass presentation, and so he decides that he's going to say something about what was the question? Well, it is bump, but
okay. Here's the deal.
Sorry, I don't tell stories well.
So they're talking about different types of sex, HIV transmission, and there's a thing called a booty bump.
Booty bump!
A booty bump is when you put
cocaine
or meth or some other drug, illicit drug typically, into your ass so that you can take more dick. Now, that is not necessarily the best thing to do for multiple reasons, but it does increase the risk of transmission of STDs, STIs, HIV, all those wonderful things. And the person didn't want to be offensive. I understand. When you are in a professional setting, you have to be kind of concerned that people are not going to take you well, even if what you're saying is the truth. So you end up, for lack of a better term, watering down your presentation so that it is politically correct for a work environment. I've never been able to do that well. That is not my strong suit. And I also, just as a person and professional and member of humanity, believe that if you're not going to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, when it comes to advancing society, then society won't advance. So I simply was like, are you talking about a booty bump? And about 128 pair of eyes turned and looked at me.
And I was like, who the fuck is that? Because I never heard this voice. I'd never seen this face.
It was day 3 of me being
literally there. And I'm like, for some strange reason, I felt like I needed to know him. Like, I was like, who is this human? And where did he come from? So everybody was, from jump, the shock value was through the roof. I think people were really taken aback by his presence. Not only his speech, but his presence. And they were really shook, like, who is this person? It's not typical of the culture, though we worked at the time at a clinic that dealt with HIV. And you would think, okay, yeah, people are here probably because of sex. But people were really uncomfortable to have those type of discussions. So he and I, we started to have our own little sidebar conversations. And one of the things that he said to me when at the time I was dating, I was dating. And I was this guy that he really liked for me. And he told me as I was going through the experience, I was able to mirror things off of him. And he was like, you need to learn how to put on a skirt. And I was like, what are you talking about? Wear dresses. Like, I have a dress on right now. And he was like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, you need to learn how to be a woman. And at the time, I did not fucking know how to be a woman. I knew I looked like a woman because your girl looks good. Let me just say that. But
Brittany show.
Sorry, I do that every now and then. But I didn't really understand what that meant. And he's been my mirror. He's allowed me to reconcile a lot of things with my parents, with relationships, with my own femininity, with my professional life. So he's been a mirror for me in so many different ways. And so many times Black women see Black gay men as a threat, like not only to their womanhood, but their resource as getting a man. And so Stephen has a sociology background. And
not background, bitch. I am a sociologist.
He is a sociologist. His mom is calling right now, so she must know we're doing some shit.
Right?
He's doing.
Right? Did I not say my mother's gonna hate this? When I tell you my mother is psychic.
She's clairvoyant AF. Hence, this podcast is brought to you by Aroma and Flow. Aroma and Flow is a beautifully crafted, curated candle experience by your girl, Flo. Order today.
I'm just window dressing.
aromaandflow.com. A-N-D. Any hoozle. So, our life over the last 2.5 years has definitely been an experience. An experience of just growing and stretching and becoming and being uncomfortable in so many different aspects of our life. Like, but knowing that there's been some amazing growth in our lives. So what this podcast is really I think my intent, and Stephen has his intent as well, but collectively I hope our intent is to really just share, be very vulnerable in sharing our experiences as um, husband and wife, and to show that this ain't my competition. This is my friend.
Like choosing to enter into relationships, you got to know it is a choice.
It is.
It is totally a choice. And what is not done often enough is recognizing the other person as part of who you are. And I like the fact that she said the word reflection, because we are all reflections of each other.
Absolutely.
So when I say that I can now date from having had experiences with Brittany, what I'm really saying is I allowed myself to see the truth of who I was. And as I'm talking to her about dating who I think that she should date, I'm like, well, what am I saying about myself? And taking things seriously while having fun doing it.
Yeah, we've had fun.
That's the part that you gotta have fun, because if you're not enjoying what you do, you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real about that. So being vulnerable is scary, but that doesn't mean that it can't also be fun. The ability to laugh itself.
Mm-hmm.
The ability, one of my all-time favorite things is I got to get my pH together.
Dead.
When we're dating, we're absorbing energy from other people. Sometimes too much energy. Sometimes in ways that we may
in
not
dating,
want
that
to,
is important.
It
is important.
Get your pH together.
Get your pH together, girl. Don't let no dirty dicks up in your shit and throw your shit off.
You gotta understand. And how do you recognize it?
Absolutely.
How do you recognize that when it's coming? What I would like for women to be able to do is not be the stereotypical fag hag. So as we talk about putting this together, Brittany is like, okay, so you need to be in a dress and I'll be in a tux. And immediately I had a negative reaction to that. And the reason that I had that negative reaction is it's stereotypes that lead to the negative interactions. So if I don't show up in a dress, then I'm not the appropriate faggot. So now you can't be the appropriate fag hag. That's not what this is. So the concept of husband and me is about working together.
Yeah.
It is a partnership. That's what partnerships do. You vibe off of one another, you see each other's strengths, and you edify one another. Fag hag is just the average chick who is somehow enamored with the gay boy and tries to pick up traits of the gay boy. Well, you ain't gay. You a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Nor do I want to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever sex roles may come into play, that is not a woman. I will never be she. She will never be he. We simply are. And understanding how to embrace the best parts of you is what I would like for this podcast to be about, to recognize. So when Brittany was talking about competition, the concept of the black woman being mad at the gay boy, like I'm taking away something from her. Let's be real. Black men go to jail a whole lot, right? So they're not available. We're not talking about what they might do in jail. We're just talking about availability.
Mm-hmm.
So there's less black men available to date. So if you see me dating a black man, I am the threat, but not really, because if that man was interested in me, he's not necessarily interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't take away from you. That doesn't mean there's anything
It's
wrong
an
with
either
it.
or, not an and.
And then the whole thing that bisexuality can't exist in black community.
That's gonna be a whole
download.
Y'all stay tuned for that episode, because
like there is no down low in white community. So we're doing this to ourselves by not being able to simply express what it is. Yeah. All right. So high five on the sociology terms.
Boom!
So what I'm saying. No, when you add in some sociology, and I really hope that we're able to bring that in, because it's so important. If you just understand why our community, specifically black community and Latina community to a different extent, a different way, end up doing harm to self and others within community when we really don't have to.
Yeah.
right? So I'm watching Brittany date all of these fabulous men. They're brilliant. Setting up boundaries in relationships is what the gay man, I'm about to say the gay man, because she looked
because he did call me a gay boy, and I accepted that title to the like, yes, bitch. It makes perfect sense.
So the black woman and the gay man having a conversation like, I love Chris and I never met the man. If I met Chris and he tried to hit on me and I'm like, oh, I met Chris, and she's like, what Chris? And we find out it's the same Chris, he's cut off because I respect her. It's a respect thing that we're not talking about, because I don't do better for self if I demean her. And that's the piece that we're not doing well.
Right.
That differentiates the fag hag from the husband relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The fag hag, the punk really don't care because they're
Right.
a fish. All these
Right.
other negative connotations that go along with it.
Right.
If I respect her as a person, as part of community, then there's no way I can betray her.
Because it's both valuable parts, and I think what helped me to really understand that was the masculine and feminine energy. That's another episode. We'll get into all of these things, but we really want you to understand and take root in the fact that we are all a part of a community. Like, we are a collective, and his place in it is just as much as a value as mine. And the society has done a really great job at setting up these divisions and these little silos where we're not coming together and talking about our individual experiences.
Can we talk about Umar Johnson for a second? So let's talk about the way that the society...
He's gonna put the whole everything in this one episode. You guys are not gonna come back. You're not gonna come back and see us because he's gonna tell you everything.
You can't tell everything.
You can't.
Because it's
no,
always
it's like
tomorrow.
We will always
like,
have
for
some
real.
shit to talk
but
about.
There's multiple layers. So when I say Umar Johnson, he is my nemesis and he's never met me. He don't know me. But he will set up blockades between conversations like this to where she said that I was triggered. I'm sorry. But
you were triggered.
When you're talking about society and the way society is set up, you have to think about how it's set up. It's set up by power players and institutions. The institutions have already been set against minorities. Let's be clear.
It was built that way.
Then within those institutions, there are various power players that reinforce what the norms are that would have us not be able to be a husband and me, because it's telling us that we are natural enemies.
Yep.
We are not.
Nope.
We simply are not. Whatever resource, the resource of the man in community is a resource.
Absolutely.
Got it. We both want that resource. I love steak. She loves steak. There's a perception that there's a limited amount of steak. I hope y'all understand y'all paying too much for diamonds. They are priced as a commodity and a limited resource, so they're of high value. There are diamonds all over the place. But because we said that it was limited, we're going to allow it to be limited and then pay extra for it. Let's understand.
That's a word. I hope y'all caught that.
There's free range
I hope you
dick.
caught it. Ladies, I hope you caught it.
There's free range dick all over the place.
Literally.
We ain't got to fight for it.
We don't.
So if that is the centerpiece of a divide between a homosexual and black community and a heterosexual female and black community, let's squash that today.
Today. That ends today.
Dick
If
for
you
all.
get dick for all, everybody, you get a dick. You get a dick. You get a dick. Everyone, listen, it is not just about dick. Let's just make this very clear that we're talking about, dick represents the availability of resources in my mind. That with a man comes supposedly stability, love, all of these fuzzy things that we like, protection. That is something that, and even if you're in a homosexual or lesbian relationship, the dynamic is still the same, masculine and feminine. They're always a stud and a femme. If you got two femmes, not to say it don't work, but there's still an ebb and flow of energy. That's how I learned to look at it. It's not about out here just getting dick and getting STDs. Because as we worked in that field, and he still does, and I still have a deep passion for HIV. For me, I learned that it wasn't just about acquiring an STD. It was about, one, how the woman views herself. Two, what she's willing to do in order to get certain things, to get the stability, the resources, the protection, all of that. And three, like just the community and what the community has available. If one is not willing to go outside of the community to see other things, to see that is dick for all, then you're definitely going to be in a position where you feel like you got to fight this female and fight that female over the same man who got now the STD, and he's giving it to everybody.
And hence the angry black woman is born. Let's take STD out of it.
Ooh, you want to go angry black woman already?
So if she already has the perception that she is fighting me, but Shawanda over there, you need Betty, whatever her name may be.
Shawanda is probably fitting.
Is also a threat. So you're going to stay on tense. So when I started social work, before I started social work, I had it in my mind, first off, that right action is going to prevail.
What is right action, Stephen?
We'll get to that later, because that's a whole 20, 30 volume thing. But it's basically doing the right thing, okay? And then I also set my intent that what will happen in spaces where I am and the populations I serve is that there will be an increase in peace and an increase in joy. The stereotype, the archetype of the angry black woman is the opposite of that. You can't be at peace if you're always fighting. If you always struggling, if you always in perception, if not reality, are trying to figure out how you want to survive. You can't have that peace. If you can't start at a baseline of peace, how can you move it up to joy? So it's been my experience, and this was also part of me learning from Brittany. Because I can work with dudes all day. I'm a dude, I get them. Females, not so much. So as I increase my skill set to be able to work with females, I recognized that there was an experience that Brittany had that was a collective of what black women are. And while her ability to emotionally regulate was a little bit higher than some, right under the surface was the capacity to explode.
Still is. Sorry.
But you're doing good.
Thanks.
So when I say Brittany show, y'all, that's the explosion. She has these mini Tourette moments of energy that she just has to burst out. And if my goal, if my mission, if as social worker and human, I want all people to have a more abundant life, to have a more abundant life as they define it, then I cannot not speak to her angst, her tension. So I'm learning to be a better person, let alone homosexual, who deals with women, by recognizing the various triggers, the historic, almost genetic, embedded,
it's deep-rooted
discomfort.
Yeah.
So this is not anything prophetic, but disease, not at ease. We all sick. What medication are we seeking? And is it the quick fix of anger? Because it does feel good. When I cuss somebody, baby.
Ooh, and he love the word cunt. Oh, he love the word cunt.
there are many iterations of it.
Yes.
But getting that out,
it's beautiful.
It vomits out the vitriol that I've absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
White people don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Minorities have to do it because we are constantly under different auspices, under different litmus, under different all types of stuff than is the minority. White people don't have to feel the extra judgment. White people don't have to feel they're the colonizer.
Mm-hmm.
They're the locusts. We get the scraps that the locust leaves as it chews off the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a natural feel of the combating for resource. There is a natural dis-ease that we feel.
Preach, preacher!
I'm just saying, girl. So
he goes into it and he'll give you a word. We both will give you a word from the Lord.
The vulnerability that I'm hoping we're able to start to talk about is just that.
Yeah.
Being able to feel the dis-ease, speak to the dis-ease, and then attempt to do conversation, self-care, solution-focused, solution-oriented things.
Mm-hmm.
So as she shows you the candle is her self-care collection is representative of different tactics that you can use to be who you are, the best version of who you are, the best way of who you are from different angles. So,
and I would definitely that my candles are a big part of why we're here today and how we've gotten to this point. And so I would love, and I, definitely going to talk about it throughout the course of this because we felt that this is not only therapeutic for us and getting us outside of our comfort zone, and because we've had 2 years of straight Marco Polos of like talking back and forth, allowing each other space to do this vitriol vomiting type of situation where you talk about everything that's going on, your frustrations, everything. You see raw emotion, you see all of that, and then ain't nobody saying nothing, ain't nobody interrupting you. You get it out. And a lot of times people don't have those safe spaces where they can. So we invite you all into our safe space as we expose our safe space to you all. And we hope that it's something that also you get your husband or you find you a good husband, as much as knowing that this is healing to our community. Like if we're able to see that we're not in competition with one another and that we truly are, like I cannot, the person that I marry has to know that he's going to be present. I will have 2 husbands. Okay? He will be
husband and husband.
Husband and husband. No.
This
and
is
I'm
not
saying,
polyamory.
It's not okay. Run this back. I will have a husband and a husband. And that they have to understand that. They have to understand the value that he brings to my life, that the balance that he brings to my life. And that's something that's important for me moving forward in my relationships.
Let's talk about that because this is an opportunity, because remember, we're talking about community, so that we got to include the heterosexual dude in this, right?
Absolutely.
Which means that I want the heterosexual dude to understand, I don't want you. Which means that there has to be a level of integrity in the gay boy. Mm-hmm. She ain't never brought home no trash.
She's back with the kitchen girl.
They sexy. If they try to holler at me, I have to say no. See, that's the whole thing. So, developing integrity, we got to do one on that.
We do.
Like integrity in relationships.
Absolutely. They used to teach this shit. We used to have honor, trust,
but we
integrity,
took hell out
respect,
of the church, honey. Like,
you
look,
all
can't
of
go
those
to hell.
Used to be
not because you're gay, because you're wrong.
That part, and I think, we're gonna pull that out.
Like,
we're gonna pull that one out. But we used to be taught those things. Those were core principles of being a person. Now they want to shove, all this stupid ass math and STEM down your throat. But it's not teaching you how to be an honorable human, how to have integrity, how to have respect. Those things are just not taught anymore. And that's something that is core of humanity.
And relationship
and
community.
And
how
community.
do you build successful community if you don't have a moral compass, a collective moral compass?
Yeah. So that's something as we, share our experiences, share our individual and collective experiences with each other. That I just want people to look at themselves, and if we need to be a mirror for you in your life, that's cool. We are therapists, soon to be therapists. We definitely have gone to school for this shit. We in it. We understand human behavior. We understand stages of change. We understand what we're dealing with. We have taken it on as our mission to say that this is what we choose to do as our
from
profession.
a practical standpoint. Because let's get this clear, because people hear therapists and they feel nervous. There is therapy where you lay out on the couch, and there's therapy where it's come holler at your man, come holler at your girl, and there's a definite difference there. The style of therapy that I engage in, that I'm still working to develop, and I mean that, because I am still
it's an active process, work in progress.
Because there's a thing that I would like to think of as family style therapy. In therapy, we, as therapists, you are taught that there are boundaries and roles and all of that you cannot cross, which I agree with. You don't fuck your client. You don't bring your client home. You don't go to the bar with the client. However, what I've noticed in my practice is that people do this transference thing that they're not really supposed to do, where they recognize me as something. So for some who haven't had a father, all of a sudden they're calling me daddy. Let's redefine what you mean when you say that. I'm not your daddy, but I appreciate that you see a strong man and that you are vibing off that energy.
Sorry, y'all. People in my neighborhood is dumb as fuck. I'll have to edit that out. Go ahead.
So, understanding, when I say family therapy, what I'm saying is if you are picking up on positive male energy, we can identify that and look at that as a strength to the therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
Some people prefer a female therapist because they need the female energy.
Absolutely.
Some people prefer the straight therapist because they need what they perceive to be the strong
or the Christian
energy,
therapist.
because we need to throw some Jesus in there.
Right.
So what I'm hoping to also do in this conversation is learn how to properly engage in professional relationships that are non-traditional.
You want to pause this? I'll see.
That isn't recording yet?
It is recording.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it is recording. And we're back. Sorry for that brief introduction. Okay. So really what's your goal? What's your purpose when you think of this podcast?
Okay, so what we want to do, we want to leave you with why we are going to do this. And the reason that I think that it's important for this podcast to exist is simply so we can model conversations about difficult topics, how to work through them, applying a mental health skew, a mental health lens to basic everyday interactions so that community can be strengthened, so that females and males get a better understanding of positive communication around some really hard topics.
And my goal is for women to really address those inner issues that we know we have. We've been taught to be the strong Black woman. We've been characterized as the angry Black woman. We have all of these different stereotypes of how we are perceived and portrayed. And a lot of this is just an internal battle that we're facing day to day. And I feel that this podcast will help resolve a lot of those inner issues, because has had this opportunity. I've grown exponentially as not only as a woman but as a professional through my relationship of knowing that this is not competition for me. He is of value to me, growing me to the next level, and that's necessary. It's necessary for us to have that balance as women, and to know that this is we've been conditioned to see each other as threats, and that's not the case. So that's my purpose. That's what my hope is. Like, we bring laughter, we're gonna bring like joy, we're gonna bring frustration, we're gonna argue probably sometimes. All of that is going to take place. We're gonna have a dialogue, debates, and really be honest. So we would love if y'all have questions about stuff, to send your questions in about whatever you're feeling, whatever questions you want to ask us. Like, just be transparent. Like, this is the time for us to put it out there and say, this is why I've got issues with Black women, or this is why I got issues with gay men, or whatever. No, we are not the experts of those things, but we have our own experiences, and we can talk about it.
We actually are experts, because we've been
I was trying to be humble.
Ain't no humility. No, understand. See, that's the problem. If we don't understand where we are, all this bullshit about speaking truth to power, if we don't understand what our truth is and understand where our power is, how are we ever going to advance?
Get me all the way together, then.
I'm just saying. So, with that being said, March Madness. Next podcast, March 1st, March Madness and madness. What is that? Why are we walking around insane? Why are we walking around in our heads when we can really come out and actually have a conversation? Get out that crazy, speak to the crazy, and resolve a little bit of the crazy. One podcast at a time. Bow! Resolving crazy, a little crazy. One podcast at a time. So we thank y'all for watching. We so appreciate it. We hope that you invite your friends, your family, whoever you want to take part in this journey with us. We are just excited to be at this point. We're jumping. We're doing everything that has been placed on our heart, and this has been on our heart for a very long time. So I'm glad that we actually did it, Stove! Instagram hashtags pending.
Yes, we're getting all that together. So we will see y'all next time. We would love to get your feedback. Please let us know what questions you have. We're going to be giving all of that information soon. So y'all have a good one.
I'm going to my mother's now.
Sure.